Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Concordia's Matthew Swift, His Excellency Iván Duque, former President of the Republic of Colombia and Chair of the Concordia Amazonas Initiative, and Kate Wharton of the Cross Boundary Group.
We'll give everyone a moment to come in. If you can all as well make seats available, if you can scoot in a little bit. I know we've got a few people looking for seats. Thank you all very, very much, and thank you to President Frank for those fantastic remarks, especially as we get ready for a lot of programming to open this summit on about nature, which of course within the arena of public and private sector cooperation and market-driven solutions to some of the most challenging issues, I can't think of a better subject to cover and to open this summit than to talk about the environment and environmental sustainability. And it is with that I'm joined and honored to be joined by President Duque, and a lot of people, I'm going to take a minute to say this because a lot of people I don't think know this. Nick and I first met President Duque years and years ago. You were working at the Inter-American Development Bank. Nick and I were both in college in Washington. And President Duque was one of the first people we ever we ever talked about the idea of Concordia. And he really helped us launch this entire organization. And one of the things, when it's one thing if someone comes to you and makes a pitch and you've got 25 years experience. Nick and I were still in college at the time. And he was willing to take a risk and most importantly, take his time to spend with us as we strategized on the original mission of Concordia. And not only has he been a tremendous friend and brother ever since, he's never forgotten his link to Concordia from when he was a senator in Colombia, president of Colombia, and of course all that we're doing now today. So I just want to take this moment to thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
When President Duque was in office, I was down Nick and I and George were down in Cartagena visiting him, and we were sitting having a coffee, and the president said, I want to launch an Amazonas initiative to talk about nature-based, market-driven solutions to issues around protecting the Amazon rainforest. But here's the catch. I think we should have the summit in the rainforest. And I remember thinking, well, it's unique, interesting. I'm not exactly an outdoorsy guy, but I thought, okay, we'll see how this goes. And fast forward, we launched in September of 2022 at the annual summit. And in the summer of 2023, we held our first Amazonas summit in Ecuador. And I remember getting on the plane. We had a very small team presence because there's not a lot of accommodation options in the rainforest. So we only had 5 members of the Concordia team. And I thought to myself, well, oh God, what are we doing? And I have to say, 14 years, 52 summits, 3,500 speakers. It was one of the most extraordinary times of my life. It was incredible to experience and be in the environment in the way that we were and to talk about the issues in the way that we were and to build the relationships the way that we did. We'll be talking about this throughout the next 2 days. We'll be in Guyana this summer. We'll be in Brazil next year as part of this Amazonas initiative. But this is really something that President Duque has inspired and really capitalizing on the need for a business solution to issues around protecting the Amazon rainforest. And so it is with that we are here today to make a very, very important announcement about a key partnership that we've developed as part of this initiative. And with that, I'm going to pass it to the President.
Thank you so much, Matt. Matthew, thank you so much for your words. It's such an honor to be here, also sharing this scenario. We want to welcome you to Concordia, Americas. And I'm so delighted about this morning and about this opening announcement. It was 2 years ago that we launched with Matt in New York the idea of putting together Concordia's power of convening to bring private sector, public sector, the NGO sector all together and creating an environment for market-driven, nature-based solutions. And we said, we have to focus on the Amazon. We have to bring that power of convening to think and act about the Amazon. And there are multiple reasons. Maybe the most important one is that the Amazon, as part of the world, has the size, almost the same size, of the United States of America. More than 7 million square kilometers. And the Amazon captures every single year 10% of all the world greenhouse gases emissions. It is a lung for the planet. But it's a lung that has been threatened because of the negative use of land and because of deforestation. And in fact, if deforestation, and I've said this many times, were a country, it will be the second largest emitter of greenhouse gases. And the Amazon has lost the equivalent of the size of California and Texas together due to deforestation in the last 4 decades. And it is also critical to understand that we can do everything good in the Western Hemisphere associated with carbon neutrality, but if we do not bring deforestation to zero, in less than a decade, the Amazon will no longer be a contention wall, but instead will be a net emitter. So we have to act, and we have to act promptly. And we also need to combine not only the enforcements against environmental crimes, but we have to be able to bring those players that can massively mobilize capital associated with conservation and restoration projects in the whole Amazon biome. And that's the reason why we're here today. Because I remember when I told Matt that we were going to have our first summit in Ecuador, in Tena, in the heart of the Ecuadorian Amazon, and people asked me, okay, describe me what this looks like. I said, we're going to work in a Maloca way. We're going to have a group of participants. We're going to put our titles aside, and we're going to concentrate in a dialogue, constructive dialogue, and identifying solutions. And I remember that many people asked me, okay, tell us about the accommodations. And I said, well, there's no 4 seasons. Maybe it's 1 season at the most. But you need to think of having a clear contact with nature. So we had the top minds from the environmental experts in Latin America and the Caribbean. We were there for 3 days, not just, as many people say, networking, because that's not the purpose. It is building solutions together. And we launched in September last year in Concordia our first solutions report, where more than 20 solutions were identified from the local levels of government, the local entrepreneurs, to maybe a more regional approach. And one of those solutions that was put into the equation was smart financing. And that means being able to provide guarantees to local governments. It's also identifying the possibility of creating biodiversity credits and associating also the capturing of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases with mechanisms that allow the resources to be mobilized, but also be able to sustainably pay the local communities for the protection of nature. So as time has been passing by, and as we have committed to have this year our Amazon Initiative gathering in Guyana, a country where 85 of the country's tropical forest, with literally zero deforestation, where almost 14% of the territory is in the hands of indigenous communities with land titles, and where the country is extremely committed to a low-carbon development strategy for more than a decade, we believe Guyana is one of the best labs to tell that story of an energy, social, economic, and environmental transition. And we said how important it will be to bring those players that are putting not only the risk, but the resources, their smart financing, and the way to address that aggregated value mechanism that we have been thinking about. And that's why today, with Cross Boundaries, and more important, with the Nature Fund, and you're going to listen to this, the Nature Fund is saying we want to partner with Concordia. We want to partner with the Concordia Amazon Initiative, and we're going to work on creating, developing, and profounding elements of that smart financing through the use of carbon credits, but also to the possibility of building biodiversity credits. And that's why we are making this announcement. With the Cross Boundaries and the Nature Fund. We're announcing that alliance, and with that alliance, we're going to help scout, identify, and build those projects in which local communities will benefit by protecting the Amazon rainforest. And let me tell you, it is possible, and we are here to tell you that we have made this big alliance as a consequence and triggered by the gatherings and the meetings that we started in Ecuador. So Concordia has the power to put the players together, and today in Miami, in this gathering of Concordia Americas, we are presenting the first collaboration with one of the major funds concentrated on nature-positive solutions to mobilize that capital and be able to tell the communities that through Concordia, through the Conservation Fund, to the Restoration Fund, and to this possibility of a smart finance, things can have a profound change. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce this alliance with one of the heads and leaders of this important nature-based solution fund. Thank you very much.
Take your time. Don't worry about the clock.
All right, good morning. We are, as you've heard, very excited to be announcing this partnership to help close the massive funding gap faced by nature. More than a third of the climate solutions that we need come from nature, but they only receive about 3% of climate finance globally. The bottom line is we cannot meet the Paris Agreement targets, we cannot halt biodiversity loss without investing in nature. But there's always been a fundamental investment challenge. Many of nature's greatest benefits that we've heard about are what economists would call unpriced positive externalities. You can get paid for cutting down a tree, but not for keeping a forest standing. Now, carbon markets change this by putting a price on one of nature's services, carbon sequestration. And the Fund for Nature is investing in this new business model for projects that have a climate impact. And we're focusing specifically on nature-based carbon projects because they not only have the climate impact that we need, but also preserve biodiversity and, most importantly, improve livelihoods of the people who are stewarding the land. CrossBoundary is an experienced investment advisor and asset manager focused on unlocking capital in underserved markets for high-impact opportunities. The Fund for Nature is CrossBoundary's third climate-focused investment platform, and we have two very ambitious goals. The first is to accelerate the development of high-impact, nature-based carbon projects in emerging and frontier markets, and then to unlock institutional capital in this nascent space. As we've heard so eloquently from President Duque, the Amazon is a globally important region. It's the largest rainforest, the most biodiverse place on Earth, and for this reason, we've selected the Amazon biome as one of our key geographic focus areas for investment by the Fund for Nature. And in this context, we are, of course, thrilled to be collaborating with the Amazonas Initiative and Concordia to help expand our impact in this region. There is no time to waste. Thank you very much.
And real quick, how do people learn more about the Fund for Nature and get involved?
Yeah, if you're interested, I'll be here the next couple of days, and you can also find information on our website or just reach out to me personally.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.